Hey, everybody, we're back, the Coon Prairie Ramblers, and we are confabulating, and we was talking about, or we was listening to Luke, and he's talking about his big tail.
My big tail? No, we wasn't. We wasn't talking about that. I'm on a diet, I'll have you know.
Evolutional throwback there.
Yeah, I'm going to throw you back.
Well,
You ain't a keeper. Meanwhile, back in the swamp, we were telling a story about this big cypress
I'm
tree.
getting kind of sweaty listening to this.
Getting sweaty? Oh, well, thanks for that. Anyway, we pulled up to this area there by the land there, and Roy and Dale got out and hit the trail. Happy trails to them. And then they left us there sitting in the canoes for about an hour and a half. And while they stomped in there to find this giant tree. What?
That's comfortable.
Yeah, you got to keep your balance, and each of you taking turns wiggling that thing. I just wait for us to flip over, me holding my camera and everything.
And mosquitoes?
There were mosquitoes, and they were chomping. But it was well worth it because I got to sit there for an hour and a half and listen to Mr. James tell stories.
Yeah, that's good.
And I wish I could have recorded that. He talked about all kinds of really super cool stuff, and I tried to remember it and went home and wrote some of it down. But anyway, they were going an hour and a half, and they heard him like, hey, hey, off in the distance. We hollered, hey. And it was back and forth, and they found their way back. But when they were walking back, he took in some pink ribbon, and he marked the trail from where he found the tree all the way back to where we were. And he took a bunch of pictures, and he showed Mr. James, says, here's that tree that you've been looking for all your life. Now we can go home. Mr. James says, oh, no.
Well,
I got to see it.
Oh, boy.
I got to see it. I said, come on now. He's 81 years old now.
Yeah.
So we caught our balance and got out of the boats and walked, or we sloshed, or we slurped, because we were in muck up to our knees. Muck, sucking your shoes off. You had whole sticks, tripping over a million cypress knees of all different sizes. And we walked probably 100 yards, and it took a long time to do the 100 yards.
Wow.
Mosquitoes chomping on us. So we finally got to this bodacious tree. It was bodacious.
Yeah.
I mean, cypress trees are good size anyway. And the photos I saw, the photos don't do it justice when you're standing up against it. So we took a tape and measured around the circumference of it, and we got it to be 20 feet.
Yeah.
And Roy took a measuring tape, and I held it against a tree, and he kept walking and walking and walking and walking, and he had some kind of little stick with him doing measuring. And when he came back, he triangulated it.
And figured the height?
Yeah, figured out it was, what was standing was 115 feet, but he figures there was about 20 more feet missing just because it had broken off.
Oh, yeah.
20 more feet.
Yeah.
So it was just a good day for Mr. James because it was a dream for him to find that tree again. And it was Roy's 63rd birthday. So Roy wanted to do that on his birthday for an adventure.
Pretty cool story.
And,
They'd make a good song.
So how big around was it?
20 feet.
20 feet.
And that doesn't sound big. And when you see pictures, it doesn't look big.
Yeah.
But when you're standing there, it's much bigger than all the other cypress trees.
And you got to take into consideration that cypress trees don't go perfectly round like an oak or a pine.
That's exactly
they
right.
Got a lot of indentation,
ins and outs. And you're measuring it close
undulations.
That too.
Flutes.
And you're measuring close to the bottom as you can get.
Right.
But there's no telling how big it really was, or how
I don't
old.
live far from there, as
the crow flies.
As the crow flies, but it's amazing. It's amazing.
Maybe you can rent a crow
there, but
one
nobody
day.
sees it.
You know what'd be really cool?
A drone.
If you would have had a drone,
we talked about that when we were down there. That would have helped us find it because it was taller than all the other trees too.
Yeah,
that would have been super cool.
But 115 feet still standing. That's still a humongous tree.
Oh, it is. Isn't there a law now in Florida about cutting down cypress trees?
I don't know. At least the knees, I think.
Because at one time they had just about cut them all because they are very resistant to rot and insect damage when you use them as lumber.
Yeah.
And they had just went in there and decimated them, trying to, get all this lumber out. No.
I don't know how old the tree is, but I guarantee it's probably 1,000 years old.
I got one in my front yard, but he's only 20 years old.
But
he's a baby.
A lot of your old cow pens and barns were made from cypress because of that reason. You don't ever see a woodpecker pecking on a cypress.
That's right. He'll peck on a telephone pole, but he won't mess with a cypress.
Yeah, he said, no way. I'm crazy, but I ain't that crazy.
Ain't no match for that.
Yeah, there's a telephone pole down on my property.
And the woodpecker hits it, don't he?
And there's a big old hole in it, and I can hear something pecking, peck, 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 peck. I look around, I don't see him. So I go up and I hammer on that telephone pole, and he'll stick his head out. I'm like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
And he's inside that
I
thing
ain't
pecking
bothering
away.
you.
Look, he's trying to get votes from a woodpecker. Even he ain't letting nobody off.
My brochure?
Can I hand you this brochure?
That's right.
Can I stick a sign on your
pole?
On your hole.
There you go.
That would be a good idea. I don't think you could climb that high, though.
Yeah, and you're not allowed to put them on telephone
Get
poles
endorsed by
anyway.
Woody Woodpecker. You've gone somewhere.
Wow,
You've arrived.
yeah.
That is a real neat adventure.
It was just fun to see.
I would call it an adventure.
See the joy in his eyes.
Well,
the way
you've just
his
really
face
been
lit
on
up.
an adventurous mood lately.
That's too much. I got to slow down here.
Yeah.
I'm out of control.
I can see that you have enjoyed. I mean, it shows on your face when you
Well,
talk about it.
because I sit at my computer most of the day and play on Facebook. That's most of my day. So it's good to get out and
It is.
actually make some new memories once in a
Well,
while.
I'll tell you, I
We
got
all
to tell
should.
you, I'm completely envious. As you were telling it, I was thinking to myself, man, I wish I could do that. But
You should have
I'd have
smelled
made
it.
it.
too.
I'd have made it the one step out of the canoe, and that'd be the end of me.
Oh my! We like to fell out. My smeller kicked in. Of course, when I overexert, sometimes it does.
Oh, really?
And it smelled just like the sewage out at G. Pierce Woods I used to work in.
Oh.
It smelled just like that. I come back and I was black from my knees down, my shoes and socks, and had to take them off. Had to get naked out there in the yard, get all that stuff off me before I went in the
That'd
house.
be good for the garden, wouldn't it?
I'm
Probably.
glad that wasn't when me and Kathy stopped by your house.
I'm glad it wasn't too. Got to went home and poked your eyes out, dug them out.
Well, Casey, maybe we can get a helicopter and go take an aerial view of it.
Well, I don't know about you, but I don't have anybody that I know with the helicopter. Well, I do know a couple people, but I don't know anybody that's going to fly us out there.
Over the helicopter? Yeah.
You ever been on a helicopter?
No.
Never.
Well, that's a lot of fun.
I don't want to.
It is. I'd much rather fly in a helicopter than an airplane.
Yeah.
My theory is if something happens,
Yeah.
unless a total failure where it falls, but then they got reverse gyration on
Right.
it, so it's supposed to let it down. But you can land pretty much anywhere. You can just set it down.
Yeah, but
But an airplane's got to have a slope and it's got to have a
Yeah.
clear place. And
a helicopter just goes flat straight down, doesn't it?
well, the airplane will too. If you get going slow enough, it'll fall right out of the
Yeah.
sky. It's what they call the stall speed.
yeah,
That's an ugly sight too.
That's a good reason not to fly.
yeah. I don't.
That's
think
why I like terra firma.
Terra firma.
Yeah, that's where
You know, I figure you get a flat tire, pull off side of the road. Either you change it or get somebody to come along and change it.
Yeah.
If you fly along and lose a wing, that's it.
Yeah.
Ain't no spare wing. You can crawl out there.
Motor drops off.
You know, my son is a helicopter pilot on Black Hawk helicopters in the Army. And I said, "And what is the most
pilot or a
crucial-"
mechanic?
Oh, mechanic.
Okay.
Crew chief mechanic. I said, "What's the most critical thing about that helicopter?"
The rotor.
He says, "Keeping the Jesus nut on it."
Oh, okay. That controls the rotor, isn't it?
Yeah, that holds the rotor on it. The
I
very
heard that.
top nut.
If that flies off,
He says, if that comes off, it's all over with.
the Jesus nut. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard that about
I met a few
car.
Jesus nuts in my life.
I've heard that about a car. Is the most important thing on a car is the nut that holds the steering wheel,
Yeah.
If that thing comes off, game over.
or the nut, the person
Or the
nut.
nut behind the
If
wheel.
that steering
go.
wheel comes
The nut-
over, you're going to have a vice grip or something, or have powerful.
Hey, and that
grab a hold
happened
of
the other day in a NASCAR race. You know, they have these so you can get them out in emergency. Their steering wheels,
A release
you push
button.
them in and releases them, so you can get people out. They're not trapped in there. And during the race the other day, Dale Earnhardt somehow his steering wheel came off.
Did that get his
And he was
attention?
steering it with his with gloves. They have gloves on.
Yeah.
And he was steering it with his gloved hand till he got it under control.
Holy moly. I bet
I bet
saw his
your-
life flash before
Your
his
pucker
eyes.
factor would get way
I bet,
up
I
there.
bet he had
Ooh,
some
what you talking about?
hand cramps.
Yeah.
That ain't all of his cramping. His behind probably chewed a hole in the seat.
Yeah. That's a good visual.
Lord.
Well, we got to go pay some more
All right, I
bills.
done wasted another segment.
Well,
Sorry
I'm glad
about
I'm
that.
not
No, that wasn't
We
wasted.
got a good one coming
That
up
was a
for
good
you.
trip.
About 30 seconds, we got a real good one. But another thing I'll add about that is his grandson, who's going to high school now, which said that was the best day ever.
Oh,
no
boy.
more video games. He was out there with his grandpa, out there in the wilderness. He learned so much, and he was just so appreciative of that. And it did me good to see a polite young man like that.
Yep, that
All
is
right, we'll be back.